Hi, my name is William Chen, and I am applying for the 14th Annual Transfer Student Ambassador Program. Sorry about the lighting and the technical effects, I tried my best. So a little about myself. My name is Will. I go to the University of Michigan. I am a senior studying biopsychology, cognition, and neuroscience, and I transferred from the University at Buffalo in New York State. So a little bit about my story. When I first got into the university at Buffalo for my freshman year, I was very excited because not only was it close to home, it was affordable, everyone from my high school went, and the transition seemed to be easy. And it was interesting because actually, a day before I started college, I had a pit in my stomach that just wouldn't disappear. And for some reason, I felt like I had made the wrong decision. So struggling with that and struggling with everything else about even trying to fit into a college environment, the first month of school I ended up applying to the University of Michigan, and literally in 2 months later I got accepted to the university. I thought that I was going to start Michigan when I was a sophomore and I had some time to get into my own shoes, some time to get comfortable, learn more about myself. But I found out that Michigan wanted me the second semester of my freshman year. So when I got the decision in December, I had 2 weeks in Buffalo to take my finals. I went home for 2 weeks and I started Michigan, packed up my things, and started there in January. I think that transferring to Michigan, especially such a big university so far from home, was probably one of the most challenging and one of the most hardest experiences in my life. It's something that I look back on as a blueprint always. So whenever I'm having a hard time right now, I think back to that time. I think about how far I've come as a transfer student, of all the experiences that I had to endure, and it's something that I actually still learn from to this very day. I transferred into the University of Michigan at 17 as a mid-semester freshman transfer student. It was very lonely and it was very hard. Must have cried myself to sleep every night for 2 months straight before doing something about it. And one thing I realized as a transfer student is no one really cares and no one really gives you the adequate attention because people just don't know how. When you're a freshman, everyone wants you to join their club. Everyone wants you to be a part of their organization. But when you're a transfer student, people expect you to figure things out. And also, people think that it's unconventional. The one thing I got as a transfer student my first semester was, why did you transfer? Why are you here? Why Michigan? And it wasn't much of a sense of, why did you come here because of this, and that. You could feel it in their voice that they were basically saying, you should have made Michigan your first choice. You wasted a semester, you wasted your time, you're never going to get the ordinary college experience. And that was the sentiment that I felt for a big part of my first semester as a transfer student. It was very hard. I did horrible in most of my classes because I just couldn't cope. I missed my family, I missed my friends, I missed everything about being in a place that I was comfortable. And no one asked for help, and I didn't want to ask for help myself. You know, it's a blame that I completely take 50% for. And it wasn't till mid-semester of my freshman year that I find this program called Transfer Connections at the University of Michigan. And basically, it was a program where you were paired up with a mentor. And the best part about the program was it was tailored specifically towards transfer students. Everyone in the program had been a transfer student before, and I just remember the first time I met my group and my mentor. I'll never forget that day because although I don't keep in touch with any of them now, that first day everyone just cried talking about their experience. I even cried, and it was only solely because of the fact that I realized I wasn't going through this transfer experience alone. People that transfer, their stories are never heard. People that transfer, they're kind of ignored, and it's really hard to see. So that is why for the past 3 years, after getting into the program, I applied to become a Transfer Connections mentor. And as a Transfer Connections mentor, every semester I get 10 to 15 new transfer students, and basically I guide them through the NISTS and NISTS of the university, make sure they have all the resources available, and basically just in a sense become the face of the university for them. And that is probably the biggest identity I've had since I've been here at the University of Michigan. I had such a hard time coping as a transfer student that the last thing I would want is for anyone to ever feel that way again. When you're in college, it's really easy to feel alone, and it's really easy to fall off the tracks. And when you're falling off the tracks and you're in that dark hole of loneliness, it is very hard to get out of. It's something that I struggled with for so long, and it took me a while to get out of. And that is basically what keeps me going. And that is what makes me realize that I need to help transfer students because it's my job. Not only as a person, but as a fellow transfer student, it's my job to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes that I did. I would love for an opportunity to be at this conference to not only share my own personal experiences, but to share just ways and techniques in which to better the lives of Transfer Connection students. And I'm not talking about this as a prior transfer student myself. I'm talking about this as a person who has made this my passion throughout my entire college career. Throughout my entire college career, I've worked at Transfer Connections University of Michigan since the day I knew that job applications were open. And basically on a daily basis, I am dealing with new transfer students who tell me about their struggles, tell me about their happiness, their strengths and weaknesses. And I think that is some valuable insight that I could definitely depart to the people that are there. The best part about this job is having such a wide variety of students every single semester. You get so many different stories. There are transfer students who adapt extremely well. There are ones who don't. And it's nice to hear all of that and try to go from there. So I definitely think that I can provide valuable insight on that part. At this point, I think I've had roughly 90 to 100 students that I've had to watch over and keep in contact with. It's been one of the most amazing rides of my life. And lastly, I think that in addition to the questions that I've addressed, that it's so important to have your attention on transfer students because it is a population that has been ignored for God knows how long, you know? As college becomes more and more, I guess in a sense, something that everyone does, no one really thinks about the unconventional student. No one really thinks about transfer students and the resources they have. Even as a regular student, I walk through the campus and I go, where are the resources to help kids like me, to help kids that are going to this school? Being a freshman is extremely hard because you're adapting to new things, but being a transfer student is so much harder because you are adapting to a new life. You are leaving something that you built behind for something better, and unless you've gone through that experience, it is something that is very hard to understand. When I was at Buffalo, I eventually ended up loving that school. And especially as a student, whenever you're at a college, you want nothing more than to make that school your home and to invest everything into that school. And when I had to leave, it honestly felt like a piece of me was gone. And the worst part was it felt like it was my choice. It was my choice to leave behind the community I had created at Buffalo for Michigan. And that is something that I even struggle with thinking about till this day. You know, it's the idea of leaving something so comfortable already for something new because that's what you want. And trying to deal with basically the aftermath of that, it's not necessarily easy. So being on this panel, being able to go to this conference, I think that not only would I be able to give just amazing, insightful stories of all the transfer connections, stories from meeting transfer students that I've been able to experience the past few years, I think that I would, in a sense, be able to bring an emotional gist to it. You know? One thing in college that I've learned is that intellectuals and facts aside, the one thing that I want people to know about transfer students is our heart, the emotions that we go through, everything that we deal with. I want to get rid of the stereotype that transfer students wasted their time originally, or the fact that they're confused as to what they want to do. Because one thing I've realized in sharing my story as a transfer student is that emotions connect and feelings connect. And basically, if you're honest about your story and you're honest about what you go through, and transferring is definitely not an easy thing, people relate to that, whether you're a transfer student or not. So I would love to serve on this panel. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And the last note that I want to leave in this video is that although this conference is about helping transfer connection students, it's about seeing where we can go, how we can make it better in all colleges, how we can get transfer students to be as successful as, let's say, freshmen or whatnot. I just want to say that although I had not seen it this way years ago, I always tell my transfer students and basically everyone that being a transfer student is one of the luckiest roles that you can ever take on. And that's something that I really, extremely want to emphasize on. People might think that it was a waste of time or you were being confused, but for me, looking back on it now, to be able to have two different college experiences, to be able to go from one college to another and to experience that, to learn from that, to be challenged by that. How lucky am I to be able to have those experiences? How lucky am I to have not one, but two experiences in the short lifespan of college where we're able to do something in our lives. Transferring to University of Michigan was not easy. It definitely wasn't. But being here and transferring here has allowed me to grow in so many places that I never thought I would. It has challenged me to my wit's end. And every single day I feel like someone is pushing me down the stairs. I feel like I don't understand this, I don't understand that. It feels like you're going through a ring of fire. But when you get through that and you're kind of on the other side, you just think, how lucky am I to be able to have those experiences, to be able to have those challenges. Because at the end of the day, all you want to do is grow. As a person, all you want to do is to be able to grow and nourish your personality, to make yourself better. And if anything, one thing I realized from my experience that if you're a transfer student and you use the resources and you get the help you need and you can get through it, the growth is tremendous. So I would like to leave it at that note. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and hopefully I will see you guys at the conference. Bye for now.